time.
Now, Rich isn't gonna be here, so I'm gonna do for Rich. We're definitely not gonna be
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, so I'll just announce.
Jim won't be here, just say that
Our line
Jim's unable to be
superintendent.
here today, and I'm gonna fill in, give a brief talk.
All right.
Yeah, I'll just stay back here.
Yeah.
I'll be ready.
Well, I'm gonna call Dave up first.
Okay.
For
I'll just be
minutes and
ready when
stuff.
you're ready, though, yeah. All right. I'll talk to these guys. Go ahead.
Like on a movie set out west.
Yeah. Haven't heard too much about that. That's the big
Yeah, it's getting all done. Now, define done.
If they don't go by themselves, no one will.
Ready?
We're ready to start.
Good morning and welcome. I'd like to welcome you to and call this meeting our 82nd annual meeting of the Newton County REMC Rural Electric Membership Corporation. Thank you for taking your time to from your schedule to view us online. At this time, I'd like to call Dave Cox, your board secretary, for the reading of notice of meeting, proof of notice, and the minutes of our annual meeting from December 3rd, 2020. David?
Good morning. The certificate of mailing, this is to certify that the annual meeting report ballots for the Newton County RMC totaled 1,023, were deposited in U.S. mail on November the 19th, 2021 at O'Fallon, Missouri, the post office box there. This came from the National Information Corporation, signed by Kim Holt. Thank you. As far as the minutes from last year, do I hear a motion to move that those be accepted as mailed?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Mike and Kevin. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, David. So at this time, we'll have our line superintendent, which is Jim Evers. He is not here at this time, but Mike Butler will give his report, and then you'll just follow in with his manager's report at that time. Mike?
Thanks, Rick. Yeah, Jim was sorry he couldn't make it here today. He had a little self-inflicted wound that it's all going to be fine, but he's trying to heal up. So I'm going to give a little bit of a brief summary of this past year's work by our linemen. It's been a really busy year for them. You know, as small as we are, we don't have any contractors that do tree trimming and pole inspections, pole replacements or reconductoring and underground locates. Our guys have to do all that work along with any new services we have, any new utility poles we're installing, lines we're building. So this past year, not only did they do a lot of the normal maintenance things, but they built 6 miles of 3-phase line. I think last year Jim had talked to you about our new substation, and we're trying to build some tie lines so we can eliminate our Jefferson, Kentland, Brook, and Goodland metering points. And they built 6 miles of that line. They're currently working on another mile or two of it right now. We had some contractors in, and they had to lead them through the other 6 miles. They built 6 miles of it as well. And hopefully our plan is to have it completed before the end of the year, because that's the in-service date for our substation. We're certainly pretty excited about that, and it's going to help provide better service to you. Last year, I think Jim had talked to you about a new metering system we had. We have finished installing all of the meters. It has been really wonderful. We're getting a 100% read on those each month. It comes in at midnight on the last day of each month, which coincides with our power bill. It really frees up 2 days for our linemen. It took them 2 days to go out and read our power meters. So it also helps us with outages and any power quality alerts we might get from it. Outages, it'll alert us when you're out of power. It'll let us know when the power's been restored. Don't take that as don't call us. You still need to call us just to make sure, especially if it's after hours or weekends. Your guys have worked really hard for you. They do every year. It's amazing the amount of work that the few number of guys that we have can turn out. And right now they're working, our linemen are working especially hard. They've got about 3 or 4 guys that are lineman trainees. So they're not only doing the work, but also keeping an eye out and training 3 or 4 other guys. So we want to thank them for all their hard work. I'll introduce those guys later to you. I'm going to move on into my report this morning now. I want to thank everybody for joining us. I don't know what we'll do. This is working out pretty good for us for annual meetings. We'll reassess that again next year and try to decide whether we're going to do an in-person meeting or stay with the virtual. If it goes to in-person, the location's yet to be determined because I think we found out through this pandemic that having it at the school, like that's one of the last things they need to worry about is whether we can have a meeting there or not. So we'll just kind of wait and see how that plays out. This morning, I'm going to go over a couple things. First, the financials, and more specifically our margins and cash. I'm also going to give a little summary on capital credits, and then I'm going to bring all of our employees in here and introduce all of them. So first, if we look at the income statement on the report we send out to you, you can see we had about $707,000 in margins. Of that $707,000, I think it's important to know $599,000 of that is cash. The other portion of that is non-cash. We're not sitting here hoarding on money. We've got a lot of other expenditures that don't show up on the income statement. For instance, last year we had about 4 or 5 large items that just show up on a balance sheet. We spent like $1.076 million on system improvements, utility, new construction. We had $62,000 in long-term debt principal that we paid back. We had $131,000 in line of credit that we paid off, and then we paid $81,000 out in capital credits to the members. So that has to come out of the $599,000, and I know you're as good at math as I am. That leaves us about $750,000 short last year, and in order to make last year cash flow, we had to borrow $800,000. So margins don't always tell the whole story. Like I said, we're not sitting here trying to generate a bunch of money and stash it away. We're trying to run as close to the vest as we can. And I think we've proved that over the last 10 years. If you look at our cash flow between the money we get from the operations of the business and borrowings, we have a negative $1,205 in cash flow over the last 10 years. I don't think we can run any closer to zero profit than that. So we're pretty proud of that. We're pretty strong financially. I think we're poised to go into the future, and I think it's a bright future for us. So capital credits, we're in our 5th year of our program. We've been retiring 3 years at a time. We're up to 15 years now, and it totaled $564,000, just a little over that. We've been able to locate members, and some of them are the heirs, and we've paid back $327,588, or about 58% of the money that's been retired. We don't get to keep the balance. It gets rolled over into today's members and reallocated. I would encourage anybody. We put a list on our website. You can get out there and see if you feel like you should have some money coming back. Get a hold of the ladies out front. It's an easy process. We're not trying to keep the money. We'd love to give it back to you. We put lists in the paper twice a year, once in February and then once in October. And so please give us a call if you feel like you should have some capital credits coming. We'll work you through the process, get some paper signed. Rick is going to give a statement later on capital credits concerning how we're moving forward. So I'll leave it at that. And the last thing I want to do this morning is I want to introduce all of our employees. I think it's important. We're a family, like the members, directors, employees. We're all a big family, and I think for all of us to be a big family, we need to know who our family is. And we've got some new employees that I think even some of the directors haven't met. So here they come. That's a fine-looking group. There's your lineman right there. So these folks here, you got to slide on around if you can just a little bit. Where's Amy? Oh, she's on the phone. Okay, so these folks here are the heart and soul of this company. You know, they're who you talk to. They're who you meet out in the field. They're who you meet at the front desk. And like, as long as I stay out of their way, things run pretty smooth. I usually, you know, if I get involved, then it throws a little bit of a wrench into things. So I give them all the credit. That's why we are who we are. And so first, I'm going to just go down the list here. We've got Brent Welsh here as our office manager. Amy Babcock's not in here yet. I think she's handling some phone call. And we've got Brenda Donahue, Mike Sheets, Josh Hess, Troy Burton, Matt Beasley, Dylan Grettencord, Ryan Cox, and Hayden Maddox. So I'd like to give them a hand myself personally because they make my job much easier. And we're certainly excited about having all of them here, and I think there's going to be a great future for them here, and they're going to carry a good tradition on as we move forward at Newton County REMC. I don't have anything else today. I want to wish everybody a happy holidays, and again, thank you for joining us, and I hope everybody has a good new year. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Mike. So at this time, I'm the board president, Newton County REMC. I'd like to introduce the members of your board. And we have Mike Cooley as vice president. David Cox is our secretary treasurer. Brian Johnson, Mark Jeffert, Scott Clark, and Kevin Durham. We as a board meet once a month. We look at and discuss monthly disbursements, bank statements, and operating reports that Mike presents to us. Dave Cox gives a report on the IEC, which is the Indiana Electric Cooperatives, and they do our safety training for the guys, pole climbing and the miscellaneous checks, gloves and everything, you know, equipment-wise. They are also our voice in the state government down in Indianapolis. Our lawyer is Jeremy Fetty of Parr Ritchie, and he is most always at our meeting through WebEx, which seems to be working out well for us. He also led the board as we finished up our board education and good governance. We finished that up this year. Our auditors are London Witty Group, and we had a clean audit. Thanks to Mike, Brent, Brenda, and Amy for that. So we will be returning capital credits for years 67, 68, and 69 to the members at that time or at their family, their heirs. If you have not but know of a family member that was on the line at that time, just contact the office and they will set up the paperwork. If you've already been receiving checks, you will continue to receive the check at probably around the end of January. I am the board representative for our generating and transmission cooperative, Wabash Valley Power Alliance. So this year has been another different year. we having our second virtual annual meeting. Who would have thought that 2 years ago? There have been a lot of new terms that we have become familiar with. COVID, COVID-19, coronavirus, or just been familiar with some coronas. And maybe you have heard that, well, your window or your garage door, it's on back order. Or we won't get it for at least another month. In the electric business, the terms renewables, wind, solar are the normals, but in the last 2 years, terms of EV, electric vehicles, charging stations, miles to the next charge are more and more common. Also, coal plant retirements, net zero by 2040 or 2050, or companies will be green by 2040 or 2050. So that is less than, we're right at 18 to 28 years. Doesn't seem very long. So you will hear more and more about batteries and the role they will play in the electric company business. In the meantime, the reliables, which are the coal and the natural gas powered plants, is going through changes also. The coal at the plants are at an all-time low in inventory, but they are sitting at 30 days. So they're getting trains every day. Natural gas is also in short supply, which makes it even more expensive. With all that being said, there are a lot of smart people in the world trying to figure this all out. You'll hear more and more about batteries and all the different types of batteries. Newton County REMC, along with the Wabash Valley Power Alliance, will be there as things continue. I want to thank you as the consumers and owners of your continued support and business. I also want to wish you a happy and Merry Christmas, and let us remember the reason for the season, and God bless you all. I also want to thank the South Newton Interactive Media class for their video feed, and it is led by Joseph Keller. We appreciate you. At this time, I'd like to invite Jeremy up for the report of nominating committee and the election of the directors. We had 385 ballots returned at this for this election. Jeremy?
Excellent. Thank you, Rick. I appreciate the opportunity to work with this cooperative and work with this board of directors and Mike and his staff. Truly do appreciate that, and miss seeing the members in person, but hope we have a lot of you here virtually. The nominating committee met on September 27th of 2021 at the Newton County REMC office. For any of the committee members who are on, I'd like to thank them for their participation and assistance with that. Larry Payne, Matthew Carlson, Damon Lapham, Stephen Ellers, Patrick Moulter, David Pettit, and Kent Blake. Thank you. The committee selected and nominated the following directors for a 2-year term. Iroquois Township, Brian Johnson. Carpenter, Newton, Jordan Townships, H. Michael Cooley. Jefferson, south of 24, York, Parish Grove Townships, Mark Jeffert. There were no submissions by nomination, and with that, I would like to congratulate Brian Johnson, H. Michael Cooley, and Mark Jeffert for being elected for another term to the board. Thank you, and with that, I'll turn it back over to Rick.
Thank you, Jeremy. So at this time, we will be drawing for our 2 prizes, $1,500 or equivalent of free electric. Mark Van Fleet. He's a two-time winner.
See if I can go to.
Yeah. Try somebody to.
Yeah.
Well, let's spread it out. Unbelievable. Pays to be a member. Marilyn Williams. Correct? Williams?
Yeah, it's actually typed on there. Yep, Marilyn
Oh.
Williams.
Oh, I forgot that. All right, very good. And also, everybody that sent in ballots will be receiving $10 on their January statement. I believe it's January.
It'll be on their February bill for January usage.
February bill for January usage, so. Well,
Either way,
you'll see it on your, you'll see it.
Yeah.
So, thank you again, and have a great day.